A car accident turned me into the ex-husband of a big shot in a CEO novel. Remembering the tragic fate of the original husband, I quickly signed my name on the divorce papers. The female CEO's face immediately darkened. "Ethan, are you sure about this?" My heart skipped a beat, and I hurriedly clutched my wallet. "You must be kidding. There's no way. I'm giving back a single penny of that sky-high breakup fee." Chapter 1. After lying in a hospital bed for 3 days, I finally accepted the reality of my transmigration. I, Ethan, an ordinary college student, had transmigrated into the role of the villainous ex-husband in a cliché CEO novel. I was the ex-husband of the CEO, riding high on my family's wealth and power, doing whatever I pleased. At the university's opening ceremony, I fell in love with the heroine Amara at first sight. From then on, I pursued her relentlessly, using every trick in the book to force her into marrying me. Amara, the quintessential heroine of a campus novel, was beautiful, talented, and came from a poor family. Her father was deaf and mute, and her mother had kidney failure. In the end, to raise money for her mother's medical bills, she chose to compromise and married me. In 5 years of marriage, Amara went from being an unknown office worker to a rising star in the business world. And as for our relationship, it just got worse and worse. Amara gradually broke free from my control, but I was completely oblivious, acting more and more recklessly, until I pushed her unforgettable first love down the stairs, breaking his leg. That was the last straw. Amara couldn't take it anymore and filed for divorce. It was around that time I got into the car accident. Amara didn't come to see me until the 3rd day, and immediately tossed the divorce papers at me. "Ethan, haven't you had enough?" Her voice was ice cold, her eyes full of impatience and disgust. But even so, when I saw her face, my heart still skipped a beat. No wonder the original Ethan was so obsessed. This face was genuinely stunning. Then I glanced at the divorce papers and saw how much I stood to gain. My heart almost stopped. Holy crap, I'm rich. The original Collins family was wealthy, but he was a spoiled brat, and he had a younger brother who was better at everything. Inheriting the family business was never in the cards for him. Meanwhile, Amara had skyrocketed in just a few short years, and her assets were now substantial. Once we divorced, the breakup fee would be astronomical. All my life I'd done good deeds, so becoming filthy rich like this was just what I deserved. After calculating how much I'd get, I suppressed my excitement, keeping my head down in silence for a long time, afraid that if I smiled, Amara would notice something was off. Then I took a deep breath. All right, I agreed to the divorce. Amara was stunned. She probably didn't expect me to agree so readily. But opportunities like this don't come twice. Before she could react, I swiftly signed my name on the divorce papers. Amara seemed to sense something was wrong, and furrowed her brows. "You?" I turned my head, and with a lifeless tone said, "I've thought it through, Amara. Let's let each other go." There was a long silence behind me. I was about to curl back under the covers and count my money again, when I noticed Amara still hadn't moved, quietly staring at the divorce papers. Puzzled, I asked, "Aren't you leaving?" Amara looked up. I gently hinted, "By the way, hasn't that guy Liam not fully recovered yet? Shouldn't you go visit him more?" Amara's face suddenly turned cold. Chapter 2. I felt a bit uneasy. Could it be that she regretted giving me so much money? But I'd already signed my name, and there was no way she could back out now. Besides, considering how magnanimous I'm being right now, it's only fair that she gives me the money. Amara had an unforgettable first love back in college. Liam. Unlike the arrogant and domineering rich kid I was, Liam had a gentle, mature, and hard-working personality. He came from a single-parent family, with a difficult financial situation, but he was a high achiever in every way. In some sense, he and Amara were two of a kind. He was the only one who truly understood her, her real soulmate. If it weren't for me, the two of them would have naturally ended up together, building a happy life in the city after graduating. But I ruined it all. The original Ethan was insanely jealous of Liam, and gave him a hard time whenever he could, constantly picking fights, and eventually, even resorting to physical violence. In a fit of madness. From then on, Amara completely despised Ethan, and severed ties with him. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how terrible the fate of a villain like me would be. after crossing both the male and female leads. So the smart move, right? Grab the money and run. Amara eventually stormed out, slamming the door. I patted my chest and muttered, still has quite the temper. But then I thought about the money I'd be getting, and my mood lifted again. This kind of windfall isn't something that happens to everyone. Just as I was basking in my good fortune, my phone buzzed with a message from Violet. Heard Amara finally bothered to visit you today. The tone was unmistakably mocking. Violet was Ethan's childhood friend, a spoiled, rich girl who lived for partying and having fun. She couldn't stand Amara, and Amara didn't think much of her either. The two were always at odds, especially after I married Amara, and the two families interacted more. Violet's father often praised Amara in front of her, which only made Violet hate her more. She called me a lovesick fool, always telling me to forget Amara and come pick vegetables at her family's farm. This time, it was clear she was just here to laugh at my misery. But did I care? Of course not. I was too busy getting rich to waste time worrying about anything else. Yep, I replied, snapping a photo of the divorce papers and sending it to her. Starting today, your boy's single. Dinner's on you, Violet. She immediately called, her first words being, are you out of your mind? UG? Such a rude way to talk. I'll head to the Civil Affairs Bureau once I'm discharged. Thankfully, the car accident wasn't too serious. I only had a mild concussion. You got any celebration planned? Violet was quiet for a moment, then laughed. All right, then what's the plan? Coulda shall. What kind of celebration are you looking for? Well, I heard you recently opened a new bar. A week later, I walked out of the hospital in an expensive suit, looking sharp and ready to go. Violet folded her arms and snickered. Dressed up like this just to leave the hospital. You've lost it, haven't you? I clicked my tongue. What do you know? Today's a big day. Violet couldn't be bothered to argue and turned to walk out, only to bump into Amara. Amara's eyes lingered on her for a moment, her gaze icy. You're here. I walked up to Amara with a grin. Where's the car? Amara's expression softened slightly. In the parking lot. Let's go. Violet, annoyed, shot me a glance and squinted. Ethan, you're not riding with me. I waved her off. I've got to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with Amara to finalize the divorce, so it's easier to take her car. As I spoke, I urged Amara, who had frozen in place. What are you standing there for? Let's go. Chapter 3. Violet burst out laughing. Of course, can't delay something this important. Amara's lips curled into a sneer. Ethan, you're in such a hurry to cut ties with me. Weren't you the one who wanted this divorce? Why the sarcastic tone? All of a sudden, I answered, honestly, I've got other plans tonight. I'm just trying to get this settled quickly, so I don't waste your time. Amara was always busy. She hardly ever came home. I knew it was because she didn't want to see me. And honestly, I had no interest in staying tangled up with her either. Going our separate ways and living our own lives sounded like a perfect plan. Amara's face was cold as she turned around. The Civil Affairs Bureau wasn't crowded, so Amara and I were called up pretty quickly. Just as we were about to go in, Amara's phone rang. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw it was Liam. Amara stepped aside to take the call, and I could faintly hear her soft, gentle voice. Yeah, I'm still out handling something. She never spoke to Ethan like that. This marriage had been forced from the very beginning. 5 years of constant conflict, and they could barely manage to sit down for a meal together, let alone speak to each other with such tenderness. The staff member called out again. Are you two coming in or not? I shook my head, feeling a bit sorry for the original Ethan. In Amara's heart, he never had any place at all. Amara, I called out to her. Can we take care of my business first? Amara always prioritized Liam, and no matter how much Ethan had argued or fought, it never made any difference to her. The original Ethan was foolish, thinking he could ever win against Liam. It was just asking for heartbreak. Amara, too. If she took care of this now, she'd finally be free to be with her unforgettable first love. Amara seemed momentarily stunned, then said into the phone, let Dr. Jean check on you first. I'll be there soon. 20 minutes later, I held the freshly printed divorce certificate in my hand, tears of joy welling up. It's mine. The massive breakup fee is mine. From today on, I'm going to travel, drink, and enjoy life to the fullest. I turned to Amara, brimming with sincerity. Amara, thank you and goodbye. Thank you for the money and goodbye forever. As I walked out, I immediately spotted Violet. She was leaning against an obnoxiously bright red Ferrari. Impossible to miss. I strode over happily. Your boy's rich. Time to spend some money. Behind me, Amara's voice suddenly called out, sounding hesitant. Ethan. I turned around quickly. Anything else? Amara's lips pressed into a tight line. Her emotions hard to read. If this were the original Ethan, he'd be digging into her feelings, trying to figure out what was wrong. But I couldn't be bothered to keep up the act anymore. No, then I'm leaving. I quickened my pace. As a disposable villain like me, staying far away from the main leads was the key to happiness. As we drove off in Violet's car, I glanced in the rear view mirror. Amara stood there, surrounded by people coming and going, looking oddly lonely. Well, now that I'm out of her life, she can finally be free. Right. Violet gave me a sideways glance. You feeling regret? What? I grinned eagerly. You saved a few of those lovely ladies at your bar. For me, right? Chapter 4. Violet was utterly speechless. I've been worried about you for nothing. I actually thought you were deeply in love with her. But you're practically glowing with happiness, now that you're divorced. Wait, is it that obvious? I flipped down the sun visor mirror and took a good look at myself. Ethan was now 28 years old, so I'd aged 10 years in a flash. But luckily, this face was still handsome. Most importantly, I've got money. I thought about it and offered an explanation. She doesn't love me, so I'm done loving her too. During a red light, Violet turned to look at me, staring for so long that it made my skin crawl. Finally, she spoke, her tone hard to decipher. That car accident really changed you. My heart skipped a beat. And after a moment of silence, I shrugged. Maybe after a near-death experience, people just start seeing things differently. Violet blinked in surprise, then smiled. Fair enough. All right, tonight's bill is on me. 2 hours later, Violet regretted her words. Her face was dark. Haven't you had enough? She wasn't talking about the drinks, but the girls in the club. I raised my glass to her. Come on, have a drink with me, Violet. I patted her on the shoulder and pointed at the circle of pretty girls around us. Look at them. Sweet, beautiful, and every one of them better than my ex-wife. Honestly, with so many gorgeous women out there, and with money and looks to spare, why on earth did the original Ethan hang himself on one tree? People get stuck in their heads too easily. Violet sneered. Finally, seeing the light, a slim girl came over to pour me a drink, smiling sweetly. Try this, brother. Sure. I was about to take it when Violet snatched it away. No mixing drinks. You just got out of the hospital, and I'm not calling an ambulance. For you later. She glanced at the girl, who immediately turned pale and bowed her head in apology. I'm sorry, brother. I didn't know. I waved it off generously. It's fine. I'm in a good mood today. Then I shot a teasing look at Violet. Honestly, you're something else. Double standards much. You're always letting your boyfriends feed you drinks. But when it's my turn, I'm out of luck. Violet let out a sharp laugh. How is that the same? Why wouldn't it be? I'm a freshly minted rich guy. I can do whatever I want. Then Violet suddenly asked, by the way, does your family know about all this? I froze. Crap. I'd forgotten about that. Before I could say anything, Violet gave me a knowing look. I knew it. You're too scared to tell them. It's not that I don't want to. It's that I don't dare. The original Ethan didn't have the best relationship with his family. His parents were stubborn and old-fashioned, clearly favoring his younger brother, while Ethan was rebellious back when he married Amara. It caused a huge falling out between him and his family. Later, when Amara started to succeed, their attitude did a 180. They repeatedly blamed Ethan for causing conflicts with Amara. So, the original villain's life hadn't exactly been great either. But whatever the divorce papers are in my hand, what do I have to be afraid of? The days that followed were even better than I had imagined. I asked the butler to pack up all of Amara's belongings and send them off. This villa had originally been a wedding gift from Ethan's parents, but Amara had never liked staying here. Maybe every corner of the place reminded her of the humiliation Ethan had put her through. At first, she mostly stayed at the office, and when her career took off, she bought an apartment near work. The original Ethan had visited once, only to awkwardly run into Liam there. Awkward to say the least, even though Liam immediately explained that he was only there because it had started raining, and he needed to take shelter. There was no way Ethan's temper could handle that without getting angry. They had a huge fight followed by a month-long Cold War. In the end, Ethan couldn't take it anymore and gave in, softening up. After all, Amara was his whole world. Poor guy. But now I had this enormous, luxurious 3-story villa all to myself. Amara hadn't left much behind, but after cleaning up, the place still felt a little empty. So I headed out for some shopping therapy. I began commanding in my favorite store. This one, that one, and not this one. Wrap up the rest. Yes, Mr. Cool. The store manager's face practically split with joy. She was thrilled, and so was I. With a few staff trailing behind to carry my purchases, I was just about to head out when I ran into Amara. She froze when she saw me. I had already noticed Liam standing behind her. Chapter 5. Looks like his leg was healing nicely. He was even out shopping. Now, Amara's lips moved slightly, and she actually spoke first. It's his mother's birthday soon, so I'm helping him pick out a gift. I blinked. Oh, why are you telling me this? I don't care. Out of courtesy, I nodded politely. But before I could walk away, Liam spoke up. He looked somewhat apologetic. Mr. Koo, I'm sorry. My leg's still not great. So I had Ollie help me get here. It looks like you've bought a lot. Need some help carrying it. Ollie could give you a hand. I'll be fine on my own. Ah, what a masterful speaker. He subtly reminded everyone that I was the one who had pushed him, implied I shouldn't be jealous, and generously offered Amara to help me. I smiled and said, no need. My car is just downstairs. Besides, it wouldn't be right to trouble MS. Sue with personal matters. Liam blinked. What? I turned to Amara, surprised. Miss Sue, you didn't tell Mr. Liam we're already divorced. Silence. Liam stared at Amara, shocked. Amara's delicate face tightened. Her expression unpleasant. I don't like broadcasting my private affairs. Was that a veiled jab at me? Just because I threw a few divorce parties? Why so petty? Liam, clearly not expecting such a bombshell, opened and closed his mouth a few times. Ollie, you and Mr. COO, why didn't you tell me? Hearing his voice seemed to remind Amara that he was still there. Her red lips moved, and after a brief pause, she explained quietly. I've been busy lately. Huh. She used to say that line all the time, to brush Ethan off. Now the tables had turned, and Liam was on the receiving end. But the male lead is different from the villain. For Liam, this line was actually great news. His gaze flickered between Amara and me, and he awkwardly offered, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't mean to bring it up. Mr. KU, I hope you don't mind. Of course, I didn't mind. She's just a woman I no longer have anything to do with. Well, you two carry on. My personal shopper is handling my stuff. And these bags are heavy. I'll be on my way. Just as I took a step, Amara suddenly called out. Wait. I turned around. A mess. Sue, is there something else? Amara's brow furrowed slightly, as if she wasn't used to my new attitude toward her. My mom said you haven't visited in a while. Amara's voice lowered, as though she was reluctant to bring it up, but had no choice. If you have time, you should go see her. She was talking about her mother, the one suffering from kidney failure. Unlike Amara, her mother had always liked Ethan. Amara had never told her mother that. She was forced to marry Ethan. In the old woman's eyes, Ethan, the wealthy young master who didn't mind the Sioux family's poor background and was devoted to Amara, was the ideal son-in-law. Back when they had first gotten married, Ethan had worked hard to gain her mother's favor, visiting regularly and taking care of her. In order to win points with Amara, he knew this was his last bargaining chip. Amara was filial, and even if she wanted to, she wouldn't easily break up with him because of her mother. But when Ethan attacked Liam, he crossed a line and Amara cut him off, leaving him with no cards left to play. I thought about it and agreed, all right, I'll visit tomorrow. After all, the old lady hadn't done anything wrong. Amara visibly relaxed and said, I'll come pick you up in the morning. I smiled and waved my car keys. No need. I've got my own car and 2 good legs. I'll drive myself. No need to trouble Ms. Sue. Amara and Liam's expressions both froze. Chapter 6. The next morning I set off for the nursing home. It was a high-end facility in the suburbs, with excellent services and amenities. Of course, it was also incredibly expensive. Mr. KU, you're here. The caregiver greeted me politely. She had been hired by Amara, and knowing about the strained relationship between me and Amara, she treated me with a certain coldness. Mrs. Sue was lying in bed. Years of dialysis had left her frail and thin, but she had improved a lot since staying at this nursing home. Mrs. Elaine's eyes lingered on the food container in my hand for a moment before she curled her lips, a hint of disdain on her face. Even a caregiver looked down on me for my attempts to be considerate, because she knew that no matter what I did, it would only earn Amara's disdain. Ethan, Mrs. Elaine smiled warmly when she saw me. You've been busy lately, haven't you? It's been a while since you visited. I sighed inwardly. Ethan had only ever used her, but she genuinely cared about him. The old lady hadn't done anything wrong. Yes, I've been a bit busy. I brought you some chicken soup. Please try it later. But Mrs. Elaine grasped my hand, looking at me carefully for a moment, before asking cautiously, has Amara upset you again? I shook my head, but she didn't believe me. She sighed. Ollie's always been stubborn, and she keeps things bottled up inside. If she made you unhappy, just tell me, and I'll talk to her. I felt even guiltier. I had intended to tell her about the divorce, but now the words were stuck in my throat. I couldn't bring myself to say it. I stayed to have lunch with Mrs. Sue, chatting with her for a while afterward. As I was about to leave, I hesitated for a long time before finally speaking up. I'll be busy for a while, so I might not be able to visit often. I figured I'd gradually reduce the frequency of my visits, then find the right time to break the news. It would be easier that way. There was no way to keep the divorce a secret forever, even if I wanted to. Amara definitely wouldn't agree to that. If I kept showing up, she'd probably think I was still trying to win her back. Mrs. Sue patted my hand and sighed softly. Ethan, you're a good kid. What happened before? It wasn't Ollie's fault. She never said anything to me, but I know she feels guilty and she regrets it. She loved you so much. Losing the baby, it devastated her. My heart skipped a beat. The baby, right? That was the incident that completely destroyed Ethan and Amara's relationship. Chapter 7. Yes, Ethan and Amara had a child before. Ethan had used underhanded tactics to get her pregnant, while she was drunk at a business dinner. In Ethan's eyes, the baby was his most powerful weapon to keep Amara by his side. When Amara found out she was pregnant, he felt guilty toward her unforgettable first love, Liam. But she couldn't abandon her own child either. In the end, she chose the baby. She had already had a difficult childhood, and she couldn't bear for her child to be born into a broken home. That was the time when her relationship with Ethan was at its best. She obediently took the prenatal vitamins Ethan bought for her and pored over all sorts of parenting guides. She really wanted to be a good mother. So when she had the miscarriage, it completely shattered their relationship. It's a strange story, really. After Amara got pregnant, Ethan noticed how much softer her attitude toward him had become. He pushed his luck, insisting that she stay with him all the time. Whenever Amara tried to avoid him, he would use the excuse of doing activities for the baby's development or bonding as parents, forcing Amara to compromise. But after this happened enough times, Amara started to get frustrated. One time, Amara was about to go on a business trip, and Liam was among the people going with her. Ethan absolutely refused to let her go, insisting that she stay home and rest. For the baby's sake, Amara felt that he was being paranoid and controlling, and they had a huge argument. Can you just act normal for once? Not everyone is as twisted as you. She slammed the door and stormed out. Later that night, Ethan got the news. Amara had miscarried after getting too upset. As you can imagine, this incident completely broke their relationship. They fought endlessly. If Amara only despised Ethan before, now she downright hated him. She never set foot in their home again, and had no further contact with him. That is until Ethan went after Liam and pushed him down the stairs. That was the final straw. The original Ethan really was insane. When he wanted to hurt people, he didn't even spare himself. I stayed silent for a while before saying, it's all in the past. The original Ethan was gone. Now, those things ended with him. When I left the nursing home, I was in a bit of a funk. I wasn't sure if it was because of Mrs. Sue or because of the original Ethan. That mood hit its peak when I realized I had accidentally lost my car keys. In utter despair, I called Violet. Come pick me up quickly. Violet sounded incredulous. Am I your chauffeur? Do I have to drop everything and come running? Whenever you call, I'll pay you, I replied, Violet. The nursing home was in a pretty remote area, so even getting a cab wasn't easy. Violet eventually gave in, and by the time I got home, it was dark. To make things worse, it was pouring rain. Looking at the torrential downpour outside, I graciously decided to let Violet stay the night, giving her the guest room on the second floor. The next morning, the doorbell rang. Seriously, who's ringing the doorbell this early? Half as lamp, I groggily stumbled over to answer the door. Who? Why are you here? Standing outside was none other than Amara. She was just about to say something, when footsteps came from the stairs, and Violet's voice, clearly irritated from being woken up, called out, "Who is it?" Amara's face instantly turned cold, and she spoke through gritted teeth, as if every word was forced out. Looks like I'm interrupting Chapter 8. I rolled my eyes internally. Oh, so now you realize you're interrupting. And why are you mad? This is my house. You're just the ex-wife. So why do you get to act like you've been wronged? Pulling this cheated on act. You've been cheating on me for so long, and I haven't even bothered to call you out on it. I turned to Violet and said, no big deal. Go back to Esliamp. Violet had her own princess syndrome, but she was only here because she got caught in the rain last night. So the least I could do was let her get a good night's Esliamp. Seeing Amara seemed to wake Violet up completely, and she lazily smiled. We've got a guest. Wouldn't it be rude if I just went back to bed? Ethan, why don't you invite her in? I see. I told you. This woman goes crazy when she doesn't get enough Esliamp. I ignored her and turned back to Amara, clearly not planning to let her inside. I had just finished clearing out all her stuff, and I wasn't about to mess up the house again. It would only mean more work for the cleaner later. So early a mess. Sue, is there something you need? I asked. Amara's face turned a shade darker, clearly irritated by Violet's few casual words. But she couldn't lash out. If this were before, she could have kicked Violet out as the mistress of the house. But now she wasn't even on Violet's level. She couldn't even step foot inside. But Amara, like all women of her kind, was good at keeping her cool. She took a deep breath, ignored Violet, and pulled out a key from her pocket, handing it to me. You left this at my mom's yesterday. She asked me to bring it to you. The implication was clear. She was only here because her mom made her come. Oh, thanks. I took the key. You really didn't have to trouble yourself. I have a spare. Amara had nothing to say to that. After a few moments of silence, my patience ran out, and I politely MS. Sue, is there anything else? If Amara couldn't tell I was asking her to leave, then she'd wasted all her years. Climbing to her current position, she pressed her red lips together. No slam. I shut the door in her face. Violet was standing on the stairs watching me. I raised an eyebrow. Not going back to Esliamp. Why are you staring at me? Violet narrowed her eyes, crossing her arms. Nothing really. I just think you seem a bit heartless toward your ex-wife. I rolled my eyes. If you don't have anything to say, you don't have to say anything. Violet tilted her head slightly. Ethan, don't tell me you haven't noticed her feelings. I shot back. What feelings? Violet leaned against the railing, speaking lazily. She wants to see you, doesn't she? Otherwise, she wouldn't have rushed over so early, just to return a car key. Nor would her face have turned so sour when she saw me. Here. I tilted my head and so. Violet tapped the railing with her fingers. Her tone casual. Don't you feel anything? Feel what? Just because she turned around. I'm supposed to chase after her. I found it kind of funny. Oh, I do. Violet's eyes flicked over to me, her back straightening a bit. I shrugged. I feel like I should have divorced her sooner. If I'd known what kind of person she was, I would have moved on a long time ago. She wasted so much of my time. Chapter 9. Violet seemed surprised by what I said. She stared at me for a moment, then suddenly turned her head and laughed. Well done, Ethan. You've finally grown a backbone. Feeling encouraged, I couldn't resist complimenting her back. Oh, not at all. I'm still far behind you. Now she was the real master, navigating through countless relationships, without ever getting attached. Violet smirked. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't have anything to do with those men. I quickly agreed. Of course. You're just playing the field. Until you find your true love. Isn't that how it always goes in the novels? The rich, spoiled heiress eventually meets her destined love, and all her old emotional debts get repaid tenfold. Violet gave me a deadpan look before muttering, there's no talking sense with an idiot like you. And then she went back to Esliamp. I slept until the afternoon, waking up because I was starving. When I checked my phone, I saw a bunch of missed calls and messages. all from the original Colin's parents. After scrolling for a bit, I figured out why. They were suddenly trying to contact me. They had found out about the divorce. You divorced Amara. What on earth were you thinking? How many times have we told you? Amara's company is doing great, and we were in the middle of negotiating a partnership with them. What are we supposed to do now? How old are you? How can you be this irresponsible? You divorced her just like that. Didn't you consider how this affects anyone else? You're so selfish. I don't have a son like you. The messages went on, but they were all the same. I skimmed through them, then got up to find something to eat. Damn, that smells amazing. I was dumbfounded to see the table piled with a feast. And there was Violet casually enjoying her meal. Violet, do you have no conscience eating all this by yourself? Violet raised her eyes lazily. What should I starve for you? That logic was so solid I couldn't argue with it. I sat down and grabbed some chopsticks, going straight for my favorite, shredded pork with garlic sauce. One thing about Violet, she really knew her food. Even the takeout she ordered tasted better than what most people got. Oh, by the way, your parents called me too, Violet said as she ate. They said they've been trying to reach you, but you weren't picking up. I picked up a braised rib. Yeah, I know. Violet's chopsticks paused for a moment, and her gaze flicked to my phone. Should I give you some space? I waved it off. No need. They'll say what they want, but it's already done. There's nothing they can do about it. Just as I spoke, the phone rang again. I answered it. Before I could even say hello, a sharp voice started yelling. Ethan, you go find Amara right now. Tell her you made a mistake, that you were just being impulsive. Beg her to take you back and remarry. Listening to the shrill voice, I had to hold the phone away from my ear for a moment. Are they serious? I'm well aware that getting yelled at is way better than being killed. By Amara. Ethan, are you even listening to me? I finally responded. I'm listening, but this isn't going to work. I can't do it. The voice on the other end got even angrier. Is this how you speak to your parents? I replied calmly. Didn't you say before that I'm not your son? Did you forget? There was sudden silence on the other end. It seemed like she wanted to start yelling again, but I couldn't be bothered anyway. I've made my decision, and I'm busy right now. We can talk some other time. With that, I hung up and blocked the number. Violet, who had witnessed the whole exchange, was left speechless. Chapter 10. She set down her chopsticks and looked me up and down for a good while, clearly amazed. Well, Ethan, not only did you dump your ex-wife, but now you're standing up to your parents too. I was still chewing on some meat, so I mumbled back. Where there's oppression, there's resistance. Violet let out a sarcastic laugh, leaning forward slightly and resting her chin on her hand, her red lips curling into a smirk. So does that mean I'm next? I gave her a thumbs up, praising her self-awareness. Her reaction didn't surprise me. She had grown up with the original Ethan, so she knew exactly what kind of person he used to be. From her perspective, everything I had done probably boiled down to one conclusion. I've lost my mind. But honestly, anyone would go crazy with all this drama.